Some stories are made up, and some are remembered, and some come through you. My guests today are two of my dear friends from what feels like a lifetime ago, Rhonda and Jason Halbert. Now, if you know the music world, you know Jason's fingerprints are everywhere. As Kelly Clarkson's musical director for over 20 years, he's the heartbeat behind the songs you've probably cried to in your car. But this isn't just a story about fame. This is a story about family, about deep loss, and about strange, sacred paths of becoming caretakers of land, of story, of soul. Together, Rhonda and Jason are blazing a new trail as authors under the shared pen name R.J. Halbert. Their debut novel, Caretakers, reads like a supernatural thriller, but woven beneath the fog, the shifting staircases, and the eerie symbols is a raw, personal thread. A thread pulled straight from their own lives. So today, we're pulling that thread together, and I promise it is worth following to the end. This is Unbridled with Jenna Davis. Jason and Rhonda, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to see you.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you for inviting us.
If I could just go through the camera and hug y'all, just consider it hugged. Yeah, thank you. So let's start with let's go all the way back to the very beginning. How did y'all meet?
That is the beginning.
It depends on who you ask. I think the first time I remember seeing Rhonda was sitting in her aunt's driveway listening to music when I was like 10 years old. My mom and her aunt were good friends. So that's the first time I remember.
He was too afraid to get out of the car to play games with us. So
I was listening to music, listening to some Duran Duran on the radio back then. It was a good investment.
Yeah, it clearly paid off.
Yeah, so we met as children. My mom and her parents and aunts were all friends, and then I tried to start dating her around junior high, and it took about 3 years to convince her. So I finally got her attention somewhere around high school. Mm-hmm. We got married at 18 and moved off, and here we are.
Yep.
Nice. So tell me about your kids. I mean, obviously, I know. I would love an update, though, outside of this. But let's talk about Kennedy and Kelton for a minute.
So Kelton is a meteorologist, and he's working on his doctorate, and he chases tornadoes, and is living in Oklahoma and loving life. I guess he's just in Tornado Alley, and it's the best place for him. And Kennedy is married and has been pursuing music since she was 11, I guess, and has found a career in writing songs for film and television, for licensing, stuff like that. So our kids are busy doing their own things, and we sort of got busy doing ours.
And Kelton's 30 now. Can you believe it?
I can't. So parenting from a tour bus, you've talked about that some in other interviews. What was that like?
It had its challenges, but it actually had its benefits. We chose to homeschool, which I was one of those moms. I was never in a homeschooling background or community or anything like that. So that was very foreign to me. And I was one of those moms where I was like, I am not homeschooling. That is too much work. I can't do that. And then when Jason's lifestyle changed and started going out on the road, we just felt like we needed to make family the most important part if we were going to make this work. So to do that meant the kids couldn't be in a traditional brick and mortar. So I decided to take on homeschooling. Scariest thing I did at the time. And but it paid off really, really well. There are huge benefits to being able to tour the world with your children and implement history of England or Belgium or Germany or whatever, different cultures and different languages. Kelton learned French and Kennedy learned sign language. And so we took our adventures and lifestyle and family and just made it one giant classroom. And we kind of had to do that to keep the family together. And I'm hugely thankful. This is a huge thanks to Jason for allowing us to be in his space and on the bus and in his work environment.
I didn't even think twice about it. My parents divorced early on, And looking back, I remember my dad taking me on trips. He was a construction worker. He laid pipelines. So I would go away for weeks at a time with him on a construction crew, which was no bueno. Don't recommend that to anybody. And then my mom, being a single mom, she would take me. She was a home health nurse, and I used to go on all her visits with her. So I thought it was a natural thing to bring your kids to work, and started working in Christian music at age of 19 with kids, and quickly found out that is not the way things are done, and they were not welcome very much on the road. So it actually wasn't until I started working for Kelly Clarkson that I said, "Hey, I just need my family out with me," and she said, "Absolutely." And so that sort of started that journey for us.
Yep.
So the storytelling part, has that always been a part of who you are, or is this something that just evolved?
I mean, for both of us, I mean, I grew up in a long line of storytellers. I don't think half of it was true, or maybe it was. My grandfather used to tell us tall tales. I mean, we're talking, he was in the British Army, and so I grew up hearing about leprechauns in Ireland, and my aunt being kidnapped in Singapore and worshipped as a god. I mean, goddess, and spy stories. And it turns out about half of that was true later on. Um, and Rhonda as well, her family, she comes from a family of storytellers, just to a different medium. They were all musicians and singers.
Yeah, I actually grew up, I'm the fourth generation of musicians and songwriters, and so they definitely knew how to pour out their hearts in song. So that was definitely passed down in my DNA.
Yeah, and Rhonda's grandfather was the first person I remember knowing personally that actually wrote a book.
Yeah, he did. I totally forgot about that.
Here to remind you.
It's so cool. So you talked about a period of grief from, 2020 to 23. Can you walk us through that a little bit?
Now you're getting deep. Yeah, so in about 2016, my mother was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia. 2020, she took a turn, and the doctor said she would probably live to be about 5 or 8 more years past the diagnosis. And so we were just approaching that window of time, and we all noticed it when she started to take a turn. So that year, then of course, COVID hits, and it became really difficult to try to be a part of her life more, because I knew the end was coming. But we did it. I think I might have ended up being the only one on a plane for several months, because I was flying back and forth to Texas to take care of her every 3 weeks. It was a lot of work, and it was really hard. And it was just really, really sad. And then you add on the stress and the loneliness of COVID, and the many, many people that we lost to COVID. And in that same year, we also lost Jason's nephew to a random gunshot from an argument in an apartment next door. And the bullet went through the wall and killed Jason's nephew. And then on top of that, we lost 2 very dear people, one an aunt, and one a very dear friend who's been on tour with Jason forever, background singer, to cancer. And then you add on top of that, all of this was in just 1 year. Then you add on top of that, we lost our home to a flood, and it took the house out, and we couldn't live.
Was that in Nashville or Los
in
Angeles?
Nashville? Yeah.
Okay.
I think that was probably the final straw for us. I mean, because we lost about 14 people total. A cousin of mine in England, and
Your mother.
my mother, to a brain tumor, and it was like that scene in Back to the Future where he's looking at the picture and people are just disappearing. And we woke up one day and everything that we knew in life was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Add on the layer of COVID, where your usual coping mechanisms, community, going out to eat, travel, that was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so our last safe remaining place was our home. And then that was taken away. And at that point, I think, well, we did crumble. And it was, honestly, if it wasn't for our children, I don't know how we'd have made it through that period in our lives. And that inadvertently led to us writing a book. At some point, couldn't call home every day and talk about the same grief over and over and over and over again. And a friend of ours, Amy Grant, went out to lunch with her, and she recommended a therapy called Saracet that was a brain therapy. And she had been using it with soldiers who had suffered PTSD. And even our own therapist at the time was telling us, you're suffering a form of PTSD. So we as a family did the therapy. I was last because I'm always last. I'm skeptical and hesitant and don't want any change.
Were you the most hesitant?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Okay.
I'd rather
Let's just throw
wallow
that out there,
in misery
Jason.
I know than try something new and get better. So
Well said.
yeah, I'm self-aware. So our son did it first, and then Rhonda, and then finally me. And at the end of that, that particular therapy does not take away any of your pain, does not take away any of your trauma. Nobody came back to life. Our home wasn't magically restored. The pain was still there, but the way our brain processed the pain changed and pulled us out of fight or flight mode. And a pleasant side effect of that for me was I slept through the night for the first time probably in my entire life. My brain is always running. And a side effect of that was this intense creativity started pouring out of me and Rhonda at the same time. And that was the catalyst for our book.
Yeah, he actually came home from, I think, his fourth session. And he was like, man, that one was a strange one. I started having these visions, and he started talking about it. And almost instantly, I knew something was happening here. It was very unique. And so I pulled my phone out and hit the voice recorder. And we sat together for about 3.5 hours, and I have all of it on my phone. And we developed the entire trilogy, not just book one, all sitting there bouncing ideas back and forth from each other. So that is legit how our trilogy came together.
So you really think that, like, coming out of the fight or flight and engaging the parasympathetic and all that just opened the floodgates to where you are now?
Absolutely. I mean, I know that I'm not sure of all the science, but I know that even in our dreaming life, our brain is processing our day and helping us sort things out. It was like this, but in the waking hours, it was almost like it was in a constant dream state as our brains were processing all the information around us. And that was the catalyst for the story.
And what we've noticed is when you're in that fight or flight or severe trauma mode, your brain is in protection mode. It doesn't know how to be creative. It can't be creative. That's the last thing that it wants to do is be creative. It's trying to protect you. And so the Saracet treatment was just what we needed for our brains to try to calm down. We're still living in a lot of that trauma. We're still rebuilding from losing the home. Those people are not going to come back in our lives. So there's still a lot of grief that we're dealing with. But this treatment did allow us a grip again. Like, I felt like I had already lost my grip. And so it gave us a place to be able to grip and re-sturdy our feet and be able to move forward. And then the beauty of that was the creativity did come afterwards.
It's like it reset your whole central nervous system.
Absolutely.
And just allowed everything to flow again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I did wonder at the time, is this actually healthy? Because what we found ourselves doing was, instead of talking about our grief on a daily basis and processing, we created this fantasy world that we both fully immersed ourselves in. And there was a piece in the back of my mind that was like, okay, is that really healthy? You're just,
running from your problems.
And you're creating a fantasy world and you're living in this, not real universe. But I embraced it because it was really healthy for our marriage. We were both on the same team, working towards something. It was healthy for our minds not to wallow in that. And it wasn't until we finished the book that we sent it to a friend of ours that's a therapist. And he immediately called and was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing on so many levels. I don't know if you realize it, but what you've done is a form of therapy called DBT therapy. Had never heard of that. But in that therapy, you actually... I'm not a psychiatrist, so I'm trying to summarize here, but you work through your problems through external stories. And literally that's what we did. And without being intentional, this particular book, the characters, they're not a one-to-one basis on our lives. We put ourselves into these characters, and then they developed, and we put them into situations of grief and of trauma. And we could sit back and see how they would react to it. And we actually worked out it was like we would deposit some truth into them. And I know this sounds so weird. I used to watch interviews like this and be like, okay, your
Yeah,
characters.
yeah. Your characters
You're
take on
forgetting.
a
I
life
love the weird, so it's all good.
They truly do. It gets to the point where you're like, well, that's not what he would say. That's not what she would
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
And they form their own identities based on this world that you create them. And we were able to watch them process healthily and unhealthily some things. So we learned a lot from this process.
Yeah, it was eye-opening to both of us. It wasn't what we expected. It was healing. It really saved our lives to give us an outlet. I don't think we were prepared for that, but we're hugely thankful for it.
Right. So, CareTaker, this is the book that we're talking about. And the second I saw that they had wrote this book, I was like, I have to get it. So I got it. And I've read the whole thing. And I have also shared it with my husband. And he is now somewhere in here. He's halfway through. Love it. Absolutely love it. Cannot wait. It leaves you wanting more, so good job.
Thank you.
I can't wait to read the next book. So I recognized when you were talking about the dementia that's in here. What all is made its way into your book that's actually from your life?
Yeah, actually, I think because we were first-time authors, we could only pull from what we knew and our own experiences. We took a lot of liberty to change them just to keep our privacy and to just be careful with our stories. But yeah, I mean, we could only write from what we have experienced.
The
So I
supernatural
did.
stuff, Rhonda. The supernatural
Well, I
stuff.
have experienced the supernatural too. So
I think, I mean, there's not a scene in the book, I don't think, that's influenced by truth, whether it's
that's not influenced by.
yeah, from the supernatural things to the bees to strange occurrences to, I mean, everything has a basis in some sort of truth. It's just wildly expanded, in our lives.
So I will say, because my hope is that this reaches people who have not read the book, and I hope it encourages them to go read the book. So I'm not going to spoil anything, but there is a very unique scene in the book that actually happened, and I can't wait to be able to confess this when more people have read it. But it's so crazy that most people would think that we made it up. And so there is a story in there that is absolutely true. And it was so fun to be able to put that experience into it and go, nobody's going to believe this one. And this one is actually true.
Yeah, and it's an interesting book. It's a trilogy. So book one came out last year. Book two is coming out this November. But before we even started book one, the entire series is laid out. We knew where all these characters were starting and ending. And it was really hard to figure out how to let this story unfold. I mean, I'm a big fan of Lost. That was very influential. And similarly, our story takes place over thousands of years. And what you've read takes place in a small sliver in the early 2000s. And we did give hints to some ancient times.
Right, in the beginning
but-
and the end, which I
but-
love those.
But book one focuses really on this family right now in the early 2000s. And we gave you a hint. We bookended what's to come. Book two now opens that up immensely. The family is still very much involved, but now we've expanded the palette, and you're spending a lot more time in the other timelines. So.
Yes.
So was there a time when you were writing this book that you felt like the book was writing you back?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In a very annoying way. Even recently, we laid out some foundational truths for us and even some purposes in writing this book. And one of the catalysts was when we were standing in our home in the wreckage of our dreams. And we're very aware we're privileged and blessed to even have a home. And so losing a home, it wasn't about financial loss. It wasn't about wood and stone and concrete. It was about all the memories that encapsulated everything that represented every gathering we had, every friend that we had there. So it was that loss that we were grieving. And as we were standing in the rubble, I just looked at Rhonda and I just said, I pray that as we rebuild the foundation of our home, God, would you please rebuild the foundation of our family? And that set the tone for parallels between writing this book and what was happening in reality. And we were aware of that going in, but I thought we were just going to lay out these things, and this is how our life is going to be restored. Even now, finishing book 3, we find ourselves challenged to continue to sit in that, which is very hard. That was a roundabout answer. People wouldn't answer you.
Well, because we
Already
have to be
this-
so vague.
Already, this all sounds like a weird mushroom dream, which I'm not opposed to, but it's not where we're at.
Well, so your life, they've had so many twists and turns, right? Like everything. But looking ahead, as far as the books go, in this series, you said this is a trilogy.
Yeah.
What's next?
Next is book 2 coming out. In between book 2 and 3, we've been in the process of developing a pilot for a TV series. That was one of the original inspirations. I really wanted to take this to series first, and a trusted friend of Rhonda, who's in publishing, said write the book first. Which, if we would have taken it straight to series, it's like that I know how to do. Writing a book, we were both like, wait, what? I've never even written a poem, so on a book. So we did the book. So what's next is hopefully finish developing the series. Book 3, which comes out next year, will close this chapter, but we're already in the process of working on a book 4 because it's just too much of a story to tell.
Or maybe like not necessarily a book 4, but like a spin-off series. Book 2, like Jason said, kind of opens up a bit more. And there's a prime spot in there for a really fun young adult spin-off series. So we've been talking about doing that as well, as if we don't have enough going on.
And I'm excited for book 2 because we have some exciting things coming up. We're back at Comic-Con New York this year, and we're huge sci-fi supernatural fans. As you've read book 1, it only tiptoes in that. So we started last year at Comic-Con. This year it's going to make a lot more sense as book 2 comes out, as we expand more into the supernatural and the weird.
Yeah. And speaking of Comic-Con, so we just released our audiobook, and we have an incredible cast of people. Most of them you would probably see at Comic-Con.
Yes, I've seen the exciting news on the audiobook, and I definitely want to talk about that. So let's go ahead. Let's hear it. Come on.
Yeah, we released the book, and not only were we authors, we set up our own publishing company. We independently published, which I don't know what we were thinking. We learned a lot during that process.
Yes, what not to do.
Yep, and everybody found out. I've never listened to an audiobook in my life, and found out that a lot of people don't like to read. They want to listen to the book. So everybody's like, well, where's the audiobook? Didn't have one. So I started doing some research and listening to books, and the majority of them were single narrator, which just didn't work for me because it didn't match the voices in my head, and I wanted to have more something more theatrical. So we put together our dream cast of who would like to narrate and act out all these voices, and unbelievably they all said yes after reading the book. We had zero connections with most of these artists. They read the book, said yes. So we have Michael Shanks from Stargate, which was one of our son's favorite shows, as Ian. We have Eric Avari, also from Stargate, the movie, and The Mummy, and Mr. Deeds, and The Chosen. He plays Marshall the Caretaker. We have Amy Grant as Liana, and
Henry Ian Cusick from Lost is our main narrator, which we were so thrilled to get him. Again, no connections, just reached out, and he said yes because he liked the book.
Yep. And then we have Haley Arantia from The Goldbergs, one of my favorite series, and so she plays a wonderfully annoying big sister. And then we have
our really good friend Charles Eston from the TV show Nashville. He said yes, that was awesome.
Yep. And then my boss Kelly Clarkson, we gave her a little role talking Kelly the realtor, so no connection. And I'm sure we're forgetting somebody. Anyway, we have an amazing score scored by Joseph Trapanese, who did The Greatest Showman and Tron Legacy and Straight Outta Compton. Anyway, it's
and we also did Foley, sound effects, surround sound mixing. So if you're listening in your ears, it'll kind of give you that sense and that feeling of being immersed in the room. We have crowd noises when you're in the diner in the book, and it makes you feel like that you're actually in the diner. So we tried to give it as much of an experience, more than just listening.
So when y'all were recording this and you were hearing it yourself, either in the process or for the first time after it was done, was there anything that you were like, that just came alive to me in such a different way than even from your own vision, that it just took it up?
Absolutely, because what I started to realize is we wrote this book from our perspective and our feelings, our experience. These people are reading their lines from a completely different experience and perspective. And plus, they've got acting skills. So, yeah, it brought things to life that I wasn't anticipating. It was emotional a lot for me. Um, because there's just so much in the book that Jason and I can identify with. And so we know the depth of most of these stories. But honestly, I think I was just emotional all the time, because when you do something like this is like your baby, and you've trusted it in the hands of people that you really don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. You're trusting you made a good decision, and then they just bring it. And these people get paid to do this, so of course they're great at it. But I think it just really shocked me in particular of, oh, wow, I just was not expecting the life that every single actor brought to the table. It was wonderful.
Tell us about the song that Amy Grant wrote for the book.
Oh my goodness. I can't listen to that song without crying. I'm just going to say I cry all the time. Okay, so we have a really dear friend of ours that's working with us on our publishing company, and her name is Jill. And Jill gets a pre-release of the book because she works for us. And so she got a copy, she read it in just a few days, and then she came back to us and she was like, guys, I wrote a song inspired by your book. I want you to listen to it. And she just slipped it to us real quick.
Really talk like that.
No, she does. She does. So she sent us this track of just her and a guitar. And oh my gosh, she just captured the book, much less our lives, in such beautiful lyrics. Jason and I were both crying. It was just, wow, she did that. It was such a great example of summing up this book into a song. So Jason, who doesn't do anything half-hearted, he was like, Jill, I think we should go to Amy Grant and see if she'll sing this. And Jill's passing out because that's like her favorite all-time artist. And she was like, look, whatever. And I'm like, Amy, I don't, you try this, we're just like shooting in the dark. And long story short, it worked. He hit the bullseye. She said yes. And she recorded it. And we've released 2 versions. One version you'll hear on the audiobook, which is just a real simple acoustic version. And then there is a second release that is actually on Spotify that you can also buy, download, or whatever. And it's a more produced version as well. But I am particularly super, super proud of that. That was unexpected, beautiful, creative piece that came about.
Nice. So without giving anything away, if this is even possible, walk us through your favorite scene from CareTaker.
Oh, without giving anything away, do you have something?
That's hard because my favorite scene is the very last sentence, because I dreamt that up
That was all Jason.
almost from day one. Like that was how I envisioned the book ending.
Yeah.
Anything that involves Zach, one of the characters, because he's on the autistic spectrum, and there's just so many things we can relate to between me and my son that he just makes me smile every time I see some of his scenes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what a favorite scene would be.
I think for me, the one that I was kind of referencing before that most people wouldn't believe is true, it really is one of my favorite scenes, probably because it is true, without, I guess, spoiling too much of that.
They share dreams.
Yeah, there is a shared dream between the brother and the sister.
That was good.
And that is absolutely true. It absolutely happened to my children, and it was amazing then. And so it was just really fun to be able to write that into the book now. And I still read through these books when I'm, making sure that we're being cohesive from 1 to 2 to 3. So I have to keep going back and rereading. And when I go back and reread that scene, I'm like, oh yeah, that was so good. Like I really get excited about it. I don't know.
I think a scene that makes me smile every time still is when the family first drives down the driveway. Because that was our experience driving to this home for the first time. And in the book, the family is waiting in the car, and another family comes out of the home complaining. The ceilings are too low,
It's too dark
too
in
dark in the
there.
house.
Yeah.
And those are literal things that happened as we sat there, because when we bought this home, we just thought there's no way we could. There were so many people looking at it. There's no way it's going to be ours. And I remember sitting there in the driveway here, and those families come out saying that, and it gave me a sliver of hope. And so I smile every time I see that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to give it away. The mirror scene, real or not real?
That one is some liberty, so not all real.
Okay. Okay. All right. I got it. So when's the movie?
That's the debate. A lot of people. I'm stubborn. I'm stuck on the series because I find myself getting invested in an entire series more so than a movie these days, and I don't know how to tell the story.
And I kind
She
of
wants the movie.
I want the movie about book one, and then I would love for the series to come after that. I feel like that might be a better way to introduce the series. But I honestly will take whatever option or opportunity that we get to be able to tell the story. So
Yeah, in the movie thing, I definitely would be open to that. It's just, unfortunately, today, it's like an old guy now, I feel like you have a movie, you have one shot, and then it goes away, whereas a series lives longer. In this type of story, it's a grower. So,
yes, you have to stick with it, which I will say, to be all honest, we do listen to people who read our book and have criticism, we take criticism well. And a lot of people have criticized the fact that we left so much undone. And I just want to say, hang with it, because there's a point to that. We were not sloppy writers. There's actually some really good stuff that tie in all of those things. We just felt like it was too much to put all of it finished into one book. So keep reading if you're frustrated that we left something open, because the answer is coming. We have not left, by the time you get to book 3, we have not left anything open. So it will be answered.
Nice. I love, and it's, again, I'll say it without saying it. I love the bracelet thing, the jewelry that ties in different ways. I hope that goes somewhere, but if it doesn't, it's already went somewhere in my mind. So we're good.
I mean, it's probably the key to the entire series. So it's very, 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 very important.
I can say look for it on the cover of book 2.
Nice. Well, so my experience with this, and I think for me, this would be, after reading it, I can say this. Sometimes there are books and things that it's just, I just want the movie, or I just want to hear whatever. But this one, it allows you to really see it in your own mind. So you're reading the story as you're creating the story in your own head. So for me, that was fun because I was able to have my own version of it. I'm excited now to hear the audio version because I want to hear, like, okay, what's someone else's perspective on this story that's now resonating in my head, you know? So reading this first, and then it just makes me so excited for the audio part, for the audio version of the story. So I would suggest people read it first, because this draws such a magnificent story in your own head. Like, you get to be the designer. It leaves space. It leaves space for you to be the designer of the story in your own head, which I think is really cool.
I love hearing that. That's probably the best spoken way that you've just said that that we've heard from other people. We've had some people criticize the fact that we spend a lot of time developing the characters at the beginning and developing the location at the beginning. And we did spend a lot of time on that, but we wanted those pictures to be painted in your mind. And you're going to envision it one way, and I'm going to envision it another way. But there was, at least in our minds, there was space for people to dream the way that we were dreaming. So we did take our time with it. That's not really common in this culture right now. People are so, they just want everything fast. And so we've had a lot of that thrown back at us. Oh, this is too slow. It takes too long. But the way that you've said it is actually very encouraging. That's exactly what we wanted, was for people to take their time. Reading is supposed to be enjoyable, and it's actually very good for your nervous system. It's good for your own creativity. It's healthy for you. Reading is excellent. So it forced us to slow down for a good reason. And the hope is it will do the same for all the readers as well.
Yes. I still, I could smell the house, the coffee shop, the other things, places that they went. It's like you just get it, which I love. I love that. Okay, let's see. So if you had, this is just a total random question. If you had to describe where you are right now in your current life using a title of a book, what's your book right now?
Mm.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if there's a book titled this. If there's not, I'm going to write it. It's called Messy and Beautiful. Like, I'm extremely messy right now. Life is so still painful, still chaotic. But when I say beautiful, I'm not referencing my looks. I'm referencing the journey. It's unfolding in a beautiful way that I would have never imagined. And it's been healing in the deepest places that I didn't even know existed. And I feel more rooted in who I am now. So that's what I mean by messy and beautiful is I feel like I'm changing and hopefully for the better.
All right,
I
Jason.
have no idea. Yeah, I was trying to. I just keep thinking of a documentary called "What the Bleep Do We Know," and that's the name of my book right now. That's actually the name of the documentary.
I know.
Yeah.
That could be accurate, yeah.
Are we there yet? I think.
Yeah, are we there yet?
Okay, so how do your kids feel about the book? Did they see it and go, Mom, because they know the things that are legit, or are they just like, this is awesome, great?
I think they're probably both. I don't think either of them have read it yet.
Yeah.
Our son just said for him, it's too fresh and autobiographical.
Yeah.
Autobiographical. See.
Yeah, there was just too much emotion because there is a lot of our own personal emotion. And because he lived this tragic part with us, I think it just hits him in a completely different way than it hits the average reader. And just for those average readers who are reading, this is not a tragic story at all. It's just he lived the tragedy that caused this story to come out. So he has a lot of emotions tied to it. So I don't think either one of them are at the place to where they want to relive it just yet. And that's okay. But it's still a great story.
So I'm not going to push it until we get to book 2 or 3 because then we get way more of the fun and the fantasy. Book 1 is just setting a tone right now that I think is a little too fresh.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific that you had in mind or that has now come to mind that you would love for your readers to take with them? Not so much about the story, but just about the gift of the story.
Yeah, I think if there's one, we're hoping to impart a truth that we've experienced. And no matter what you believe, the world is very open to the idea that there are supernatural, mystical things that affect our lives. And we're sort of discovering a path where the inverse is true also, that what we do here in the physical has an effect in the supernatural. And I know that sounds woohooey, but we've been living out that truth, and it's sort of if you'll build it, they'll come. Like we're trying to build things in the physical that we are hoping will pay off in the spiritual, and we'll let you know how that goes. And,
I think for me, what I want every reader to try to do is to take a moment and to quiet their mind and listen to the whisper. And that has something to do with the mirror that you're referencing. When we get asked to sign a book, I always write, listen to the whispers, and then we put RJ Halbert. There's something very significant to us quieting our minds and tuning in to the small little whisper. And it's in that whisper that you could go on this journey of changing the trajectory of your life for the better, and trusting that still small voice. So that's the truth that I'm hoping people might actually practice after reading the book.
Rhonda, I agree completely. What is that to you? What is that still small voice? Or who is it? What is it? Where is it? Tell me about the still small voice, the whispers.
So for me, I think, I believe that there's an eternal creator, a God who has created all things and everything and in us. So I don't think it's the kind of God that this world tends to think that there is, this vengeful, judgmental.
We're talking about God outside of religion.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Yes. Okay, I'm with you.
Religion is just a little too man-made. I would rather try to find this God and listen to his voice and step out in ways that is unnatural and not normal for mankind to do, and trust that avenue than to follow a religion that has been too warped and influenced by man's hands. Men are just fallible, women too. That's not a gender thing. That's what I mean by listening to the still small voice, is just take the time to remove the sounds of the world, remove the demands of your life. And it is a form of meditation. And I just have learned in this horrible few years that Jason and I have been living in, that it's the best thing that you can do for your soul, for your mind, is just to take a moment. And it even if it's just 5 minutes a day, just take a moment to just sit still and try to listen for that voice. And that's actually what we've done. And as crazy as that sounds, it's led us down this amazing road of healing and creativity. And so I don't regret it.
Yeah. Stillness is sometimes the hardest, but the most productive thing you can do sometimes is to be still.
Yeah, you're fighting your natural human instinct.
Yeah. That's where coherence comes from. It comes from the stillness, not from the chaos.
Absolutely.
You know? So,
absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, I'm telling everyone about your book. I love it. I think it's great. I cannot wait for the next one. It leaves you wanting more, so good job with that.
Thank you. I can't wait for the next one to come out, because I'll send you a copy.
Yes. And Rhonda, you need to come on and let's talk about some other things too.
Okay.
Yeah? Let's talk about your spiritual stuff too. I love it.
In real life, I usually try to be careful because I know that it can really set people off if they're not prepared. But I can absolutely say that opening up my heart to the softening of the spiritual world, it does exist. Mm-hmm. And there's good and there's bad. And so you definitely have to be careful where you do it. But I'm not here to scare anybody or make anybody nervous about that. What I've found is there is a positive and loving, caring, spiritual being that cares about my life and everyone else's life. And I've just chosen to go down that different road, whether or not people feel comfortable with it. I didn't at first, but now I'm like, okay, I've seen too much. I can't step back now. And I've seen the good and the healing in the process has been good for my soul. So yeah, we can talk more later.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like if there's things that, I mean, maybe not all things in the book are all situations or whatever, but there are things in the book, if you can't relate to something, you're not paying attention. If you haven't experienced something similar in some ways to some of the metaphysical stuff, you're not paying attention to what's evolving around you because it's there, people.
And that's basically what we want the book to be, is to be an opportunity to tell people, hey, listen, it's there. It's there. Mm-hmm. You can choose to close your eyes or you can choose to open your eyes and you'll see it.
So, Jason, just real quick, y'all are doing a residency in Vegas right now, right?
Yep. We just we don't know how many shows we have. It's now through November, and it's really exciting. We've put together a huge band. We have 5 guitar players and 2 drummers, 2 keyboard players, 4 strings, 3 horns.
All at the same time?
Yes, because we're recreating her biggest hits live. So it's not broken down acoustic. It's how you would hear it in the studio. It's called studio sessions.
With no tracks.
And you feel like you're literally in a record. I forget we're not in a recording studio at times. It's probably one of the most fun things I've done with Kelly. especially because we've brought back musicians from different eras along the road that we have a guitar player from our touring with Reba. We have a guitar player all the way back from the Addicted and Breakaway tour. We have so
Who's playing with y'all?
We have Corey Churko.
Corey, oh my gosh.
To Breakaway. We have Jeff King from the Reba Kelly tour. Yeah, it's just, and we have Luke Sullivan, who did Meaning of Life tour with us. So yeah, it's fun to see a bunch of people, familiar faces, and make great music together again. And
all right, now I have to come see the show.
Yeah, it's pretty special.
I was telling Rhonda that I just did my second episode. I brought Derek into the scene because that's a huge part of my life. And if you want to know who I am, you have to know who he was. And I was looking at some old emails from us, and I found this one where I was sending him some Cosmo quiz or something, and it was supposed to be like, what's your favorite memory? What's your favorite this? Who's that? Anyway, so one of the questions, and I have this like from him to me right now, it's hilarious. I was like, the question was, who's your favorite person? And he put Jason Halbert. It was in parentheses, he was like, and you. But I was like, oh my God, this is supposed to. And then he was like, the other question was like, what's your best memory? And of course, it wasn't like when I met you or when we were engaged. It was like playing with Kelly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, Derek was a huge part of our lives, and one of my core memories of Derek is drinking wine in Tokyo at the Four Seasons and spending 3 hours debating what is the best song of all time, and we went through them all. And I'm sure you know, we ended up with John Waite's "Missing You," and we just covered that on the Kelly Show. It had all the things he loved. It's straight eighth notes driving. It's like Hysteria, but not quite. And,
that is so funny. Oh my gosh. Well, you guys, thank you so much for being here today. I have loved this. I've loved this time with you. I wish I could hug you both, like I said, right now. And I love your book, and I cannot wait for this to blow up. I cannot wait for everybody to have it and read it and hear it. I'm so excited about it. And Rhonda, I definitely want to have you back for real in person. That would be so awesome to have you sitting beside me and talking about some stuff. But thank you guys so much. I wish you the best of luck. And I mean, this is amazing.
Thank you, Jenna.
Thank you for supporting us. This really means a lot. And it's actually just so warming to be able to see you again.
Yes. All right. Well, love you guys.
Bye.
Sometimes a house is more than just a place. Sometimes it's a memory you haven't lived yet. A mirror waiting to show you what you came here to remember. Rhonda and Jason didn't just write a novel. They opened a door to grief, to generational healing, to creativity as a sacred reclamation. CareTaker is laced with fog and fire, but if you look deeper, you find light breaking through the floorboards. There's a line from the book that stopped me when I read it. It said, "This house doesn't keep the secrets. It waits for someone brave enough to ask the right questions." That's what this story is. That's what this conversation has been. A calling back. Because in the end, we're all caretakers of the stories we carry, the homes we build, the lineages we choose to heal. So if your past is whispering, listen. If a story is pressing on your chest, write it. And if a door swings open, even if it creaks, walk through. Until next time, friends, stay brave, stay curious, and stay unbridled. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, stay unbridled.